Hi there, welcome to this Bitrix24 CRM crash course. My name is Gaurav and I'm a Bitrix consultant at AllCAD. Now I'm just creating this course to give you an overview of the features of the Bitrix CRM and how you can use it in your company. To get a more detailed course, you can check out my Udemy course as the link is being given in this YouTube description. So in this particular crash course, we are going to be seeing how to be managing the leads, how we can add new leads, and how you can be customizing some of the parameters of the leads. Moving on, we are going to be seeing how to be managing the deals and what is the exact difference between the leads and the deals. Then we are going to be seeing how to be creating new products, how to be setting up the prices for the products, and how to be linking the products to the leads and the deals. Then we'll also be seeing how to be creating some documents, that is the quotation and the invoices, and how you can be sending this quotation and invoices directly from Bitrix to your customers. Finally, we are going to be seeing how to be managing the contact and companies. And this can be quite useful because if you're using the Bitrix marketing features, you can be sending bulk email directly to your customer from Bitrix24. It will also give you an overview of from which customer you're getting the most business and from which customers you're not getting business at all. So that's it. Let's move on and start with the lead management. So the first question that we need to be answering is, what is a lead? So lead are basically your prospect customers or your potential customers. You can be finding leads from various sources. So one of the most common sources is some conference or maybe some meeting that you have just attended. You can be sending some bulk emails to all the people, or you might be making some telecalls. Now, one of the common things that you will see across the leads is you do not know if the contact information is correct. So let's say you have got some database of all the people. So you need to be validating if the database contact information is correct. And that can only be done if you're calling those people. Similarly, you also do not know if the people are going to be interested in your product. So you need to be calling them, discussing it about your product, or maybe even going and giving them a demo of your product. And only then you'll come to know whether the person is really interested in your product. Now, what is the agenda of your salespeople when they're trying to qualify the leads? Well, the agenda is going to be quite simple. First, you need to be pitching your product to the customers so that you can get them interested. Secondly, you're going to validate their contact information, and this can be done by your sales team or your telemarketing team. Alright, so this is it for theory. Let's move on to Bitrix and see how we can exactly manage and customize leads. Alright, I'm in my Bitrix account right now, and on the left you can see I'm in the CRM section and in the leads. I already have one lead created, which is called as laptop required for school. Now before we start creating the leads, I would like to introduce you to one concept of the status. Now you can see the status has been set for this lead as unassigned, and we have other statuses as well, like similar solution, gather specification, demo, and complete lead. Now the question is, what exactly is a status? Now status is basically the stages that your lead will go through to be qualified. Now according to business, this status is going to be changing. So let's see how we can be configuring this status. To configure this status, you can just go to the settings button. Now within the settings, we go to the start point within which we have the statuses and drop downs. So on the left side, you'll see we have the lead statuses within which we have all the stages that have been defined currently. On the top, we have the initial status, which is unassigned. Now this basically signifies that whenever we are adding a new lead, it's going to be added in this particular stage, which is unassigned. Later on, we can move the lead from one stage to another, which is the similar solution, gather specification, demo, and so on. If you wish to be adding new stages, you can just click on the add status button and enter the name of the new status. For now, I do not really need it, so I can just go ahead and remove it. You can also edit them by just hovering and clicking on the edit name button. Now at the bottom, we'll see that we have two status, which is the successful stage and the unsuccessful stage. Now when a lead is qualified and we see that this person can be as a potential customer, you're going to be moving them into the good lead. Now in case the customer cannot be qualified for whatever reasons, we are going to be moving it into the fail stage. Now as you can see, we have already created two failed stages, which is out of scope and budget constraint. Now let's just go ahead and create an additional status for the failure. Let's call this as incorrect contact information. And let's just save it. Alright, so let's just go ahead and save this. Now we can go back to our leads page. Now you can see that it's updating the leads because we had added a new stage. Alright, so this is how you can be modifying the stage. Right now we are in the list view, and there's another way of viewing the leads, that is in the Kanban view. Now as we just saw, we created the stages, and this is basically how it's been represented right here. So we have all the leads listed out according to the stages. So for now I'll just switch over to the list view as I like this more. Okay, so this is done. Now let's just go ahead and create a new lead. Creating a new lead is quite straightforward. We just click on the add button and start filling up the information for the lead. So let's say, for example, we are creating an e-commerce site for one of the food outlets. So let's call it maybe e-commerce for Whole Foods. We can also enter the name of the person whom we are talking to. Let's make it as Robert. And we can also enter the name of the company as well, which is again Whole Foods. And let's also enter the position of the person. Let's call him as the IT manager. Alright, so this is done, and you can go ahead and enter rest of the information as well. Now you can see that all the data in my case has been arranged in sections. So on the top we had the lead information section, we had the product information section, contact, and more. You can go ahead and edit all of this. So let's say, for example, you are not using some of the fields. So for example, we don't use the last name. You can just click on the settings button and click on hide. So this will hide the last name. If you wish to be bringing it back, you can just click on the select field, and in here you'll be seeing all the unused fields. So let's say we want the last name back. So you can just click right here, and you can drag and drop that field in the appropriate location like this. You also have the option of reorganizing the sections itself. So let's say, for example, I want to be moving this particular section. So you can just catch this particular section and move it at the appropriate location. For now, I'll just leave it at the same location. So let's now enter the phone number of the person as well. So let me just do that and click on save. Alright, now let me just give you an overview of how everything has been arranged on the lead form. So on the left, we have all the data related to the lead, and on the right side, we have the actions that we can take on this lead. On the top, we can see the status, and we can go ahead and change the status from here as well. So let's say we click here, and it will be moved to the similar solution stage. Let's just go ahead and close this for now. Now to be editing any of the leads, you can just click on the lead that you want to edit. So for example, let's edit this particular lead that we just created. Now you can just click on the change button and start editing all the data right here. Now one question that I get asked is, I need some additional fields here because my business is different and the field is not been listed right here. So what can be done for that? So let's say, for example, we want to be going and surveying this particular company, and this is done by my business analyst. So how can we add a field called business analyst so I know exactly which is the person who is going to be doing the survey? So what you can do is you can just click on the change button, and then you'll be having the add field button. So just click on that, and in this you can add additional fields which can be of type text, list, date, time, and so on. Most of the fields are self-explanatory, but I'm going to be using one particular field which might not be understood as easily. So this is called the additional fields. So let's click on that, and it will bring up this form. Let's give this a name as surveyor. And you also have the option of enabling the required. So in case this particular field is going to be filled up by each and every lead, you can have this switched on. Next, we need to be setting up the type of this field, and it's not going to be of string type. Instead, I'm going to be using one particular field called as bind to CRM element. So this is the type we are going to be using. And as you can see, it's letting me bind to any of the entities that is there in Bitrix. So we can be binding this lead to another lead to a contact, company, or a deal. In my case, the surveyor can either be one of the contacts or it can be another company. So let's have that enabled and click on save. So this is done. So let's go back to our leads. Now within the leads, let's open it up again. And now let's click on change. And if I click on something called as the select field, I should be able to see the newly created field. So that is right here. Okay, now I can just click on the select button, and in here I can select any of the person who is going to be doing the survey. So let's say, for example, it's going to be this person right here. So let's have that selected and click on save. So as you can see here, it's quite easy to be adding additional fields, and you can add as many fields as you want as per your requirement. Now let's say you want to be deleting some fields that you have created by mistake. So what you need to be doing is just close this, go back to the settings. Now you need to be going to another section called as forms and report settings. Within this you'll find custom fields. Let's open up this one and you have the leads. So let's go to the fields, and in here you'll be able to see all the custom fields that have been created. So this is the field that we just created called surveyor, and we can go ahead and delete it if we do not want it anymore. Alright, so that's it. But before you adding any new additional custom field, make sure that you see all the fields that have been provided by default by Bitrix, because many times I've seen people create those fields which have already been provided by Bitrix, and it can get quite confusing to manage all your data. So let's just go back to our leads and see the next thing. For the next part, let's see how we can be customizing this page itself. So you can see I have a couple of columns, and one of them is called full name. So I want this particular column to be in the start because this is quite important. So what you can do is you can just drag over this column and move it in the start. You can also click on the column itself for sorting it according to ascending or descending order. And you can also resize these fields as you wish. Now let's say for example you want to be enabling some columns. So you can just click on the settings button. Within this you'll be given all the fields that are possible, and you can enable them as per your requirement. So let's say I want to be enabling one of the field called created by. Let's click on apply, and I'll know exactly who created this lead. So I can just bring this in the start so I know exactly who's the person and by whom the lead was created. So as you can see, it's quite straightforward and very easy to use. Let me show you another feature. Let's click on the settings, and let's say you want to be making sure that all these fields are enabled for all the users in Bitrix so that they do not have to do it individually. So what you can do is just set up the fields as per your requirement in your company, and you have this special button called apply for all users. So just have that enabled and click on apply and click on confirm. Now please remember, this can only be done by the administrator and not everyone in the company. Alright, awesome. So this is done. Now let's look at another important thing that needs to be done in every lead and a deal. I've also explained this feature in the deals, but let's just go over it anyways. So let's just open up one of the leads. So let's say for example this one. And in this particular form, we right now just added the data on the left side. Now we need to be adding the actions on the right side, which is a comment, a wait, call, SMS, and so on. So let's say our person talked to the customer and he has some requirement. So you can just type in the details right here. So let's say we got the basic details, that is the e-commerce site, and they put up a comment that they want a mobile application for it as well. So you can mark the information right here. So let's say customer wants the mobile app as well. So you can also attach pictures, links, videos, and so on if you wish to. So let's just click on send, and the comment is now added. So as you can see, everything remains in one single place. You have all the details related to the lead. You have all the status on the right side related to the lead. And this helps you organize all your data in Bitrix24 and lets your team work more efficiently. You also have other options such as the wait. So this can be used in situations such as the customer tells, I'm going out for a week and please contact me next week. So you can just put up a wait activity for, let's say, 1 week and click on set. And now you can see that we have a new planned activity and we are waiting for a week, and this is going to be on 6th of September. Now if I close this particular window and if I click on refresh, we can see that we have a column called activity, and within this it's mentioned that we're going to be waiting for this particular lead till 6th of September. So in this way you can manage all your leads and you'll be knowing exactly which day you need to be contacting which customer. Alright, now before we move forward, I would like to introduce you to another important concept, that is of the responsible person. Now whenever we are creating a lead, a deal, contact, or a company, this responsible person is going to be assigned to someone. So in my case, whenever I create the lead, I become the responsible person, but it's not necessary. Anyone can be the responsible person in your company. So right now, if we see the second case, I can see that the lead was created by myself, but the responsible person is Alex. Now you can go ahead and change the responsible person just by opening up the lead. Now within this, you'll have a field called as responsible person, that's right here. Let's click on change and you can modify the responsible person right here. The responsible person field also plays an important role when you're setting the access permission of the leads. I'm not going to be covering the entire access permission in this video, but you can just check out my detailed course on Udemy if you wish to. So let me just briefly tell you about it. We can go to the settings. Now within the settings, we have the permissions, within which we have the access permission. Now in this page, you can see that we have all the users and department listed on the left side, and all of them are given some CRM role. So for example, let's consider Alex. Alex has been assigned a CRM role of sales executive, which is defined on the right side. That is right here, sales executive. Now if I just click on edit, we can see that we can access all the permissions right here and modify it as per our requirement. So I'm not just going to be covering it in detail right now. Let's go back to our leads. And let's move on to the next feature, which is quite important in Bitrix. Over a period of time, you will have maybe 100, 200, or maybe 1,000 leads, and it can be quite difficult to manage all of them. So what you need to be doing is you need to be using this efficient search functionality of Bitrix. On the left, we have the filter menu, and on the right side, we have all the fields that are searchable. So let's see first how to be using the filters. Let's say I want to be seeing all my leads in progress. That means where I'm the responsible person. So I can just click on that. And we see that there's one particular lead which is in progress, which means the status is not closed, and I'm the responsible person. You can remove the filter just by clicking on the cross button. Now let's say, for example, I want to be searching the lead where Alex is the responsible person. So let's just click on search, and on the right side we can find the field called as responsible. Let's click on that and we can search for Alex. Let's select that and click on search, and we see all the leads where Alex is the responsible person. Now let's say I'm accessing Alex's lead quite often and I do not want to be entering this data again and again. So what you can do is you can save this particular filter. Now on the bottom left, we can see that we have something called save filter. Let's click on that and let's call this as Alex leads. Let's save it. Now it gives me a quick access and I can view Alex's lead anytime just by clicking right here. So as you can see, Bitrix is quite flexible and easy to customize. You do not need to be going to any programmers, and most of the customization can be done by yourself. Alright, with that done, let us move on to the next feature, which is quite exciting. That is the automation rules. Now if we just open up automation rules, we can see that all the stages have been mentioned here. We have the unassigned, similar solutions, gather specification, demo, as well as the stages of when the deal is closed and if the deal is lost. Now to be configuring the automation rule, just click on the configure automation rules button and you can start configuring it. Now there are two important aspects of the automation. The first one is called triggers. Now you can see that I've already created one trigger called incoming email. Now triggers, basically what it does is it triggers an action as the name suggests. So whenever a new email comes in, it's going to be moving the lead instead of the unassigned stage. It's going to be adding it to the gather specification stage. Now for this video, I'm not going to be covering up triggers. Let's check out the other part, which is the automation rule. I already have two automation rules set up in these particular stages. Now let's just go ahead and create a new automation rule. And this is going to be for the budget column. I want a notification sent to myself whenever we lose a deal because of the budget constraint of the customer. So what we can do is we can just click on the add button and this will give us a drop down. Within this we have various options, that is like for employee, client communication, advertising, and so on. The one that we are going to be using right now is in for employees. And if we scroll down, we see that we have something called as notifications. And within this we can type in the text. So let's say, for example, lead is lost due to budget. And wouldn't it be great if I can also mention the name of the lead that we lost? So you can do that just by clicking on the three dots right here. Go to the lead, and within this we get all the variables that are possible, or all the fields that are possible in the leads. So the one that we need right now is the lead name. The sender is most probably going to be the administrator, in which in this case it's going to be myself. And the recipient right now is the responsible person of the lead. Now, I do not want to be sending the notification to the responsible person. Instead, I want to be sending it to a particular person. So let's just remove that, and I'm going to be selecting myself. And you can see that I've also set the notification to run immediately. Now this basically means that whenever a new lead comes in this particular column, which is the budget, we are going to be firing up this notification. Alright, so that's done. Let's click on save. Now similar to how we had created this particular automation rule, you can go ahead and create multiple automation rules right here. You can also have multiple automation rule in the same column. So let's say I want to be sending another notification as an email. So you can select for employee, and then we'll be having something called as send email. That's right here. So you can just start configuring it, and the email is going to be sent by Bitrix whenever the lead moves on to this particular column. Okay, so that's it. You can use this automation rules to even send a notification to your customers. So for example, if you want to be sending a notification when the lead comes into the demo stage, you can just click on add, and you can say client communication, and then we are going to be sending an email to the client. So the client is informed that we are going to be coming to their office for giving the demo. Alright, so this is it. Let's click on save. Let's close this and come back to our list view. So that was a brief of how you can be using the automation rules. I've covered more in depth in my complete course that is available on Udemy. Okay, this is done. Now let's see how we can be progressing with the leads. Now you can see that we are currently in the unassigned stage. Now to be closing the leads, you can move on to the next stage and then the next stage, and finally you'll be coming to this particular stage called complete lead. So let's just click on that, and you'll be presented with two options, which is either generate the deal, contact company, or the junk lead. So for example, let's see how our automation works. So that was in the junk lead, and within this we need to be selecting the option of budget to make our automation run, and let's click on save. As soon as I do that, you can see that the status has been marked as lost, is marked by red, and the reason has been mentioned as budget. If we open up our notification panel, we can see that the notification automation rule has run. It was on this particular lead, and the message is given that the lead is lost due to budget, and this was the name of the lead. So this was a very simple automation rule. You can just go ahead and configure more complex automation according to your business. Alright, so this is done. Let's see how we can be creating a successful lead. Let me remove this filter so we see all the available leads. And we have another lead that is for the e-commerce for Whole Foods. So this time I'm going to be creating a successful lead. Now if I click on this drop down, we can see that we have various options, and let me go ahead and explain to you how this works. You're going to be using this option of deal plus contact plus company if the customer is interested in your product and they're ready to move forward. The contact plus company basically mentions that we are going to be saving all the contact and the company details in our database. Let's say the person is an individual and not a company, you can use this deal plus contact. And if you do not have any details regarding a person and only the company details are available, you can use the deal plus company. Next option is for deal. I do not see many people using it, but in general what this is going to be doing is just going to be creating a deal without saving the details of the person in our database. Then you have another option of contact plus company. Now, as I mentioned earlier, not every person that you contact right now is going to be needing your product. So let's just take the example of an insurance company. Let's say you call the person and the person is like, I just renewed my insurance, but probably next year I'll be needing the insurance. So instead of disqualifying the customer, you're going to be saving them as a contact plus company and try to close the order in the next year. So that's when you're going to be using the contact plus company. Now, if the person is again an individual, you can use just contact, and if it's a company, you can just use the company option. In our case, we are going to be using the deal plus contact plus company. So let's just click on that. And then it's going to be asking you for the pipeline. Now I've discussed the concept of pipeline in the next video. For now, I'm just going to be selecting general and click on save. Now, whenever you create a custom field and it has not been used in the deals, it's going to be giving you this pop-up, and it's saying that I'm going to be adding a custom fields in the deals as well, which is the surveyor. So let's just click on continue to start creating the deal. Alright, now our deal is now created, and you can see the UI format of lead and deal is quite similar, so it's quite easy to use. On the left hand side we have all the details, and on the right side we have the actions. Now you can see that the information related to the contact and company is visible right here. If I just close this particular panel, we can see in the deal section that the new deal has been added, which is e-commerce for Whole Foods. Now if I just go to the companies, we should have the new company also created, that is right here called Whole Foods. Now if I go to the contacts, we should also have the new contact that we created, which is Robert. And within this, we can see that the company has been linked as well. So in this way, you can be converting the leads into deals. And this was just an overview. There are a lot of things that can be done in leads, such as creating leads as soon as you get a new email from the customers. Or maybe you want to be creating leads based on the web form that you have put up on your website. So all this is possible, and you can check out my entire course for it. Let's move on to the next part of this series and see how we can be managing deals in Bitrix.